courtroom was heavy with tension this week as the second phase of the trial into Joshlin Smith's disappearance peeled back new disturbing layers. Witness after witness took the stand, not just to recount what they knew, but to reveal things the public wasn't prepared to hear. Some painted a picture of a mother who should have been in anguish but instead seemed eerily indifferent. Others spoke of cryptic warnings, the kind that only makes sense after tragedy strikes. And then, the bombshell dropped. A woman stood in court and told the world that Joshlin wasn't just missing, she was sold. This is what unfolded in week 2 of the Joshlin Smith trial. For days, the courtroom sat through testimonies that hinted at neglect, drug use, and dysfunction, but Lourentia Lombard's testimony shattered everything. Testifying under Section 204 protection, meaning she might avoid prosecution if she cooperated fully, Lombard described the transaction as cold as it was horrifying. Lombard's testimony was expected to provide an insider account of the events leading up to and following Joshlin's disappearance. She began by detailing her background and setting the scene for what unfolded before 19 February 2024. Lombard testified that she and Kelly Smith were bound by heavy drug use, frequently smoking took together. However, it was on that Sunday, just one day before Joshlin vanished, that she overheard a conversation that left her reeling. She claimed she heard Kelly tell Jacqueline Apollos that there was a plan to sell Joshlin to a black woman. According to Lombard, the day started with Kelly questioning Buta, Jacqueline, about a pair of sneakers and stolen chickens from a farm. The situation escalated when Kelly became furious, throwing a rock against the door, smashing a window, and injuring herself in the process. The confrontation turned physical when Kelly allegedly grabbed a knife and threatened to stab Buta. Later that day, Lombard said she saw Kelly interacting with the man dumping rubbish in the field. Despite Buta's attempts to calm her down, Kelly remained agitated. She then instructed her eldest son, Raquin, to start a fire, though according to Lombard, she never actually cooked anything. Instead, Kelly walked off and Lombard assumed she was going to buy drugs. When Lombard returned to Kelly's home later, she said she overheard a conversation through the broken window. Kelly allegedly told Buta there was something she needed to discuss regarding Joshlin. When Buta dismissed her, she reportedly replied, open quote, "Okay then, if you won't listen to me, I will follow my own head," close quote. Shortly after, Kelly received a phone call. Lombard couldn't make out the conversation, but she claimed that Kelly said in English, open quote, "I'm coming now. I'm still waiting for Buta when he is finished with his job," close quote. Kelly then called for Joshlin, who was playing with other children. When Joshlin asked where they were going, Kelly allegedly snapped, open quote, "Stop asking questions, just come with me," close quote. Lombard testified that she followed Kelly and Joshlin from a distance as they walked toward the canal. She then saw a white Volkswagen Polo pull up. A black woman stepped out and spoke with Kelly. Lombard couldn't hear what was said, but she saw the woman hand something to Kelly, who quickly shoved it in her crotch before looking around as if to check for onlookers. The woman then got back into a car and drove off. When Kelly and Joshlin returned to the house, Lombard later overheard Kelly tell Buta, open quote, "Here's the money we got from the sangoma," close quote. Buta asked how much it was, and Kelly allegedly responded, open quote, 20,000 rand, close quote. At this point, Lombard said she confronted Kelly directly. She asked what was going on, to which Kelly allegedly replied, open quote, "Rents, I did something shit now," close quote. When pressed further, Kelly reportedly confessed, open quote, "I just sold my child to a sangoma," close quote. Lombard testified that she was in disbelief. She told Kelly there were other ways to deal with financial hardship, but then Kelly dismissed the concern, saying, open quote, "What's done is done. There's nothing we can do about that," close quote. She then informed Buta and Stevino van Rijn that she planned to give Lombard 1,000 rand, Stevino 1,200 rand, and keep the rest of the money for herself and Buta. Lombard stated that she refused the money at first, but both Buta and Stevino accepted their portions and agreed to keep quiet. On Monday, 19 February 2024, Lombard said she returned to Kelly's house early in the morning. She found Kelly, Buta, Stevino, Raquin, and Joshlin there. She asked why the children weren't at school, and Kelly brushed her off. Then, according to Lombard, Kelly gave a chilling instruction. Open quote. At 2 p.m., you must get Joshlin ready. That's when I will come back, because that's when the people will come and fetch Joshlin. Close quote, she said. Kelly even packed a small bag of clothes and underwear for Joshlin before leaving for work. At 2 p.m., Lombard saw Kelly returning from work, walking towards her house. Moments later, she watched Kelly lead Joshlin back toward the canal, the same area where the white polo had appeared the day before. This time, Lombard said she saw the same woman stepped out of the polo, speak to Kelly, and then open the car door. Kelly and Joshlin got in, with Kelly still holding the black cooler bag. The car then drove away. Lombard later overheard Buta confirming that Kelly, open quote, still has the money, close quote. She also saw Kelly return home from work that evening, but notably, she never once asked where Joshlin was. As night fell, Lombard recalled that Buta suddenly began asking around about Joshlin's whereabouts. Kelly eventually showed up at Lombard's house with the police, asking if she had seen Joshlin. Lombard said she confronted Kelly, saying, open quote, because you know what you did to your child, why don't you speak, close quote. She claimed that the police officers heard her say this, but she could not recall which officers were present. That's how far into Laurentia's testimony we are. The state will resume its case on Monday, 17 March. Lourentia is expected to be on the stand for several days before the defense can cross-examine her. Laurentia's testimony contains points of serious contention. She was a heavy drug user and had consumed tic on the day in question. She never physically saw the money exchanged, nor Joshlin being handed over. She admitted she was not always present during key moments. Regardless, with more revelations to come, including a witness from another province up next, prosecutors appear confident in their objective, proving beyond a reasonable doubt that Kelly Smith masterminded the kidnapping and trafficking of her child for monetary gain. If what Lombard described was true, then Joshlin's fate was sealed long before she vanished. A local evangelist named Nico Coutier took the stand on day 8 and described a conversation he had had with Kelly Smith in August 2023. Coutier testified that he and Kelly knew each other casually, and at one point she had asked him for assistance in getting a job at a place he worked at. They were, quote-unquote, homies, Coutier testified. It was just another cold morning when he spotted Kelly jogging down a field near Middelbos. He greeted her, expecting small talk. But instead, she looked at him and said something he could never shake. Open quote. Next year, in January or February, you will see with your own eyes what will happen in Middelbos and Deersville. It will be like a movie. People will search, but they won't find anything. By then, the child will be far too gone. Close quote. Coutier told 3 people about that encounter: his employer, Tertia Kruger, Friedenberg Control Prosecutor Louis Jack van Zyl, and his wife. This, however, was a little too late, since by the time he told them in March 2024, after the sickening feeling he got seeing Kelly dance at her daughter's prayer event, Joshlin had been missing for close to a month. But back then, it was just words. A bizarre, almost delusional claim from a woman known for using drugs. No one could have imagined the weight of what she was saying. Now it haunts them. Because on 19 February 2024, Joshlin went missing. Miss Natasha Andrews had known Kelly Smith for over 20 years. She helped raise Joshlin. She described her as a quiet child, often in her care while Kelly struggled through life's ups and downs. So when Kelly showed up at her house saying Joshlin was missing, Andrews expected to see her mother on the verge of collapse. Instead, she saw something strange. At first, Kelly cried, but within a day she stopped. While everyone else panicked, Kelly was eerily calm. As the search dragged on, her urgency disappeared. Andrews searched for Joshlin herself, even going to prison after Kelly's arrest just to hear from her one last time. She asked Kelly the question everybody wanted answered, open quote, "Where is Joshlin?" Close quote. Kelly's response, open quote, "I don't know where my child is," close quote, and she never said anything more. When Joshlin didn't show up for school on the 19th of February 2024, her teacher wasn't too concerned at first. This was the testimony of Joshlin's grade 1 teacher, Mrs. Tahir Mart, on day 8. Kids miss days. But at 4:30 a.m. the next morning, she received a WhatsApp message. Open quote, "Teacher, we are looking for Joshlin." Close quote. When she called Kelly at 6:50 a.m., she heard a woman in distress. Kelly was crying. But when she asked a simple question, open quote, "Where was Joshlin yesterday?" Close quote, the phone went dead. Hours later, when she called again, Kelly was still crying, but something was off. Mart never got an answer to her question. Instead, she was met with yet another bizarre claim. By 23 February 2024, as the search for Joshlin intensified, Mart and her colleagues joined the community efforts. That afternoon, while stopping at a filling station with 2 friends, Kelly suddenly appeared and got into her car. Open quote, "Teacher, there's something I'd like to tell you that is confidential," close quote, Kelly reportedly said. According to Mart's testimony, Kelly claimed she had received a call from a Nigerian man who warned her to quote-unquote play quickly. When Mart asked how she knew the caller was Nigerian, Kelly did not respond. Kelly then went on to say that the man told her Joshlin was being held in a container on a boat heading to West Africa. When Mart asked if she had reported this to the police, Kelly allegedly said that she was quote-unquote too afraid that the Sultana people would harm her. Before getting out of the car, Kelly whispered, open quote, "Buddha is not guilty," close quote. At the time, Mart had no idea who Buddha was, only learning later that the name referred to Jacqueline Apollos, Kelly's boyfriend and co-accused in the case. The lawyer went on the attack during cross-examination. He focused on inconsistencies between Mart's oral testimony and her written police statements, pointing out that her claim about Kelly saying, quote-unquote, "Buddha is not guilty," did not appear in the original reports. The defense also challenged the reliability of the alleged Nigerian caller, arguing that Kelly had been misquoted or misunderstood. According to them, that man's real name was Johan and he was an African medium, not Nigerian. Kelly, through her lawyer, denied ever saying anything about West Africa. As testimony after testimony pointed Kelly in an increasingly suspicious light, another witness took the stand with yet another damning account. Shakira Hanif, a TikTok activist, told the court about her efforts to raise awareness about Joshlin's case. She described a video call she had with Kelly Smith on 20 February 2024, the day after Joshlin disappeared. She said Kelly's demeanor was off. She wasn't panicked. She wasn't desperate. She was annoyed. When asked where Joshlin was, she replied simply, open quote, "Buddha," close quote. When asked if Buddha had done something to Joshlin, she became aggressive and shut down the conversation. But it was what Hanif saw later that truly disturbed her. On 3 March 2024, at a religious gathering, Kelly Smith was seen dancing. Not just dancing, but reveling in the attention. She reportedly said something that made the room go cold. Open quote, "I always wanted to be famous, but I never knew it would be because of Joshlin," close quote. And as she laughed and danced, one question hung in the air. Where was Joshlin? Kelly has not confessed. There's no confirmed physical proof of her sale. The defense continues to argue that the prosecution is relying on inconsistent witnesses with drug histories and personal biases. Yet something undeniable lingers in the air. Whether Joshlin was taken, sold, or something else entirely, one fact remains. No one has seen her since 19 February 2024. And every new testimony brings us closer to an answer. Or to a truth no one is ready for. This brings us to the end of our deep dive of the Joshlin Smith trial. We will drop the next review next week Sunday. If you tuned in this far, I highly appreciate it and thank you for listening. Drop a comment below on what you thought of the episode or anything about the trial so far, and I will give out personal shoutouts in the next episode. We are also constantly posting stories that matter to South Africans and the rest of the world on our news website. Visit swisherpost.co.za for the best explainers about every important thing happening around you. No agenda, just the story.